Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be doing a first 50 for the Byzantine Empire in the new Fate of the Pheonix DLC. Now, just want to comment, this is a pre-release build, so any bugs you might see here might be fixed by the time release rolls around. With that said, the amount of content Byzantium has is absolutely enormous. They went from 20-something country bonuses to 61. The previous leader of country bonuses was the Ottomans, with 45 having the most. And in terms of content, their content is probably stronger than anyone else's, except for maybe the Ottomans, who get slave raiding and a bunch of stuff. Or perhaps Yuan, get those dynasties confused, where you have access to the international organization that is absolutely bonkers, but is not necessarily direct content for them. So, with that said, we'll just kind of go through a couple things. The Aqueduct Systems is an interesting building. This is going to allow you to build mega tall in one of 4 locations. As far as I can understand here, it has to be one of these locations and you have to own it, but you can build these up, and these are absolutely insane. And this synergizes well with the Megapolis, which will allow you to build mega tall cities, but here you will get additional prosperity and additional development, as well as some other things. This will be very strong, but in the capital, you get monthly legitimacy. And you can build multiple levels. In fact, that's what this tech does. It allows you to build more levels, and it's giving you monthly legitimacy, so building multiple of these means that you are going to very early be able to ignore your legitimacy slider, which is a huge economic impact, with the cost kind of being that your capital has to remain in one of these locations, where you can actually build the aqueduct. And they also have really powerful game start units, but I do think they probably fall off a little bit. This might be the strongest cavalry in the game, but it's Age 1 cavalry, so strongest for Age 1, with huge amounts of extra damage and extra morale damage. A little bit of a slight unit here, but it's not going to, it's going to be kind of overshadowed by the Varangans, which are going to do 20% additional damage, and I think morale damage done as well, and they're 20% larger, and so you can field a pretty strong unit at the start. They also have an Age 4 cannon that looks to be pretty strong, which is the City Taker, which has plus 30% bombard efficiency and plus artillery barrage. Might not even be worth getting the Age 5 upgrade for the cannons if you could build a bunch of these. They have decently strong things, but we won't go through all of them because they're not necessarily worth highlighting. They also have coming in here several things that are going to be free, that allow fill out their government reform or give you a free government reform in several spots. Like here, this is just a freebie, the free government reform. It does push you towards defensive and decentralization. I think defensive is fine. The Thema headquarters is a building that acts as its own proximity source. As I understand right now, this stacks with governors, but also that probably won't make release. I doubt that that's something that is working as designed, but if you stack this in a governor, you get 100 proximity score. But as it stands, even if something's on the far reaches of the empire, if it's the capital of the province, you could build one of these, you could get a little bit of a proximity source, build some roads to it, and then build some bailiffs, and end up bada bing, bada boom. Your RGOs that are rural, that have a bailiff, have like 50 to 60 control, something like this, which is quite strong. They even get a control bonus from one of their offerings, or I forget what it's called in Hellenism, but we'll kind of burn that bridge when we get to it. In the Hellenism, we do have nice capital building here, and then we have the bureaucracies, which are quite strong. These include efficiency modifiers, so you can very quickly get up to 10% plus tax efficiency and minus 100% estate power. One of the stronger ones is going to be the one that gives you extra local governors, which is quite strong. You do have to pay for these, a little bit of gold. It doesn't seem that substantive. Overall, the bureaucracies seem quite strong. Hellenism's really strong, but we can't really showcase it just quite yet. And then we have a whole bunch of policies. Some of these I think are kind of okay. We'll kind of see through these as we get through them, but that is going to be some stuff. And then we have new urban rights, which is a new mechanic. In particular, the one I want to focus in on right now, the breadbasket seems pretty good with the extra population growth. Probably applying multiple of these in Constantinople. We see Municipia privileges as well, production efficiency 10%, and then we also have this silk monopoly, which I believe can only be put down in Constantinople. I have to double check, but that's where you want it anyways, where you get huge production outputs, the type that make cars just fly off the line. With this, you can build uber tall, and very importantly, we have the new type of urbanization, where you are having the tippy top megalopolis or megalopoli if you have multiple. And so that's going to be quite strong. And on top of that, you also get the ability to eventually form Rome. Not in there though, which is quite powerful. I don't know if that's featured in their content. The organization on the content is going to be a little bit kind of better overall. I'm not sure if form Rome. Yeah, formable country, and Rome's content is also just absolutely obscene, with the probably best advance in the entire game being all roads lead to Rome. But this is just kind of scratching the surface of they have really strong stuff, and it's going to be a very powerful nation. So everyone, you know, prep your sunglasses, put them on right now, because ba-boom, flashbang time. Okay, so the elephant in the room here is we start off with 20 ducats and we're losing 43 a month. This is actually incredibly manageable and not that big a deal, as long as you kind of just understand a fundamental principle. We need to kill every single expense and repay the loans as quickly as possible. That is going to be the goal. And also, we will generate basically zero revenue from tax at the outset as a consequence of a whole bunch of things. But they are going to be consolidated privileges, which give us minus maximum tax. We're going to have the nasty minus max tax privilege as well for the burghers. I think all of these are going to have minus max tax here in their kind of consolidated corruption. But we are going to have a version of that on every single one of these, and so getting rid of these early is going to be very, very important for us. We are also going to pop the Byzantine succession crisis, basically no matter what. And since we're going to pop it no matter what, this means we can play in a little bit of kind of strange bob and weave type of way, but this is going to be pretty significant penalties to a state satisfaction equilibrium. Taxing is going to be difficult. Even if we have enough to tax, it's still going to be bricked. We're going to get extra, you know, kind of rebel growth, and we're going to get a huge crown power malice and cannot create subjects. So the first thing we're going to do, because this has not popped yet, is release basically all of our land that is not integrated into some subjects, or anyone who has a claim into some subjects. There's some historical subjects that we can make, and so we're going to open up with that. These guys, for example, will eventually give us a claim. These guys are on land that we don't have integrated. We want to get the free integration. We also have this unique pro noi, which is going to give us a monthly legitimacy, a slight bump. We are going to take a little bit of a risk here. In my test run, we didn't use these guys, but I think that the legitimacy is going to be worth it. I'm not sure what happens when we revoke the thing that allows us to make this subject type, if they stay as this or not, but the kind of downside of this is going to be that we annex these guys slower. They annex at half the speed, but that's not that big a deal, and we'll just kind of get after them eventually. So we're going to make 2 of those there, and then we also have a little bit more land that is not integrated, and so we will release another one here, creating a subject, and just use custom subjects. For this one, we're going to make them one of these guys as well. Just check the land. Oop. Can we not? Oh, we have to select. We'll just use her. That's fine enough. And just kind of eyeballing this. If it's integrated, we're fine with it. And then we'll just hand this one back to Epirus, and that should be good. Alright, so the name of the game here is paying for absolutely nothing. So we're going to take several measures here. We're going to pay 0 for cost of court. We are going to preserve our army for now. We're going to delete all of our navy except for 1 boat. We will keep a galley. We are going to delete all of our forts except for the one in Calopolis and Constantinople, which we will then delete later. We're not going to pay for any diplo spending. We will pay for food. We're going to decrease the building maintenance. We're specifically going to close the university, the sergeantry, and the granaries, which incidentally, because they are consuming masonry, will make prices a little bit cheaper for us. Not that we're constructing that much anyways, but our burghers will be getting money to construct. And so once we do that, the name of the game, we're also going to increase minting. Now, we don't want to just run up the numbers super high, but what we want to do is we want to pay off the debt as quickly as possible, because this debt is causing us interest payments, but it's also part of the thing that is going to bring down the crown power quite a bit. And so we want to keep that high so that we don't suffer as much from penalties. And so we'll come back with all that done. Alright, so we've taken stuff from -40 to -24, and that is with this ludicrous trade expense that will be net positive once we unpause, and there is a little bit of auto-calculation. The one thing we will pay for is our bureaucracy, which is giving negative state power and plus tax efficiency. Also, notably, we're just going to tax people the maximum until we can kind of sort out this debt, and so we will reap the benefits of that. But an important thing to note is that sliders are going to get more expensive with inflation now. We start with 10% inflation, and so it makes the slider a little bit more expensive, but also this disaster is going to punish us and kill legitimacy and with a whole bunch of events, and so if we just don't have any legitimacy to begin with, then it's not an issue because it doesn't give you anything bad when you lose legitimacy when you're on no legitimacy. Another thing to note, though, is look how much we are getting for freezies, good dealsies. If we were to not have the disaster and we increase legitimacy, it would be not that expensive to maintain at equilibrium. This would be the cost of maintaining it at equilibrium. We just don't want to run into a brick wall repeatedly as it stands because we're going to get a bunch of negative events. For our cabinet, we are encouraging communalism. We do start off with a pretty good set of values, but we specifically want communalism because we're going to need to revoke several privileges, and so having that revoked privilege cost is going to be quite nice for us. That is going to be a priority for us, and then we maybe push spiritualists, something like that. We are using a cabinet slot to stabilize the country. Don't quite want to use gold to appoint new people to the cabinet, really. And so we will be doing this. There's not really effective people, and this guy is going to be part of the succession crisis and leave anyways. And it generally seems like Byzantium spawns strong characters, so we'll just wait anyways. We are increasing control in the province where we have gold, which should help out quite a bit. This is, of the places we have any amount of wealth, this is by far the wealthiest that isn't Byzantium, which has no control issue anyways. And so increasing control here will be really nice. We also have a city here with a whole bunch of buildings, and so that will help out as well. And we're also supporting the Patriarchate. There's some nice events that you can get, or the nice things you can get from a synod, and so we will prep for trying to do those a little bit quicker. You could probably just integrate some stuff by hand and have this approach instead, but we're going to do this, and then we're going to focus on integrating other territory, which we will soon acquire. So we will use a little bit of gold for regulated export, which will give us a little bit more cell efficiency here. We will still not be running into needing to take a loan next turn or next month because of how the trade will reset. Although, just to be sure, maybe we reset some of it manually. So let's kind of come into that. In our test run, it wasn't an issue, but if we just... Oh, it's just lying to us that this trade is negative. All right, well, fair enough. We will roll events that will give us legitimacy, and that will be helpful for us for putting in privileges, but for now we have to spend it before we lose it all. We will go with religious administration, which will give us communalism. We do want to preserve some of our privileges that we want to give out to the nobility, which there is some. We kind of want to preserve these for instances where the car is loud outside, but also instances where their loyalty is low and we don't want to pop a rev. However, we are going to want elite council in, I think, fairly early on. And what we will be doing is we will let them be really powerful early on so that we can revoke all these for cheaper. And then we can come back and go after them and revoke privileges from them. But the revoke cost isn't too bad. It seems like maybe it was made cheaper this patch. We also have an interesting new modifier from average control, which is going to be giving you some issues. And so being decentralized is going to apply this. Although I do think there was progress towards centralization already. It was just buried in a different spot in the UI. Okay, so on the month tick, we have a couple things pop. The Turkish threat. They must, of course, be stopped. We lose some satisfaction, kind of a little bit cute, but that is going to be a thing, and the Ottomans are nice and big, and we have the fate of the Pheonix. Once the walls of Constantinople marked the center of the world, they still do, this is propaganda, from there flowed law, faith, and imperial order, truly a legacy claimed from Rome onto herself. And now that inheritance weighs heavily upon us. Years of intrigue, etc., we're losing hope. Oh no. But if we get through this, we will be in nice shape. Now, what this wants us to do is it wants us to get a ton of locations. It wants us to get a ton of locations. And also, the Ottomans are going to get really caked up and big. Also, notice this. Look at that positive balance, eh? After we let the month tick, where we went from -40 to +16, because now we're actually getting some trade income and we're max taxing people, and they'll get upset, but it'll take a little bit of a hot minute. If you could go back in time and kill baby Ottomans before they became big, would you do it? The answer is, of course, yes. We're going to no-CB the Ottomans here as well. We're going to call in Trebizond, but the idea here is we're just going to get our cooldown ticking, and we're going to just tolerate really high antagonism on all of these guys, and try and manage it through Diplo to some extent. And so some of the other guys we're going to improve relations with, this type of thing, like the Eretnids, and we're just looking to keep them out of a coalition until we can just gobble everyone up. And so we will improve relations with them as well. What we're going to do is we're just going to mass our army. It's going to be a pretty straightforward strategy. We're going to not raise the levies where they're just going to die, but we're just going to mass our army, and we're going to keep it behind Constantinople and just hope that he runs forward. The war score, you get a ton from winning battles now, and so if we just have all of our armies sit in back, wait for him to siege, and then come over and hit him from behind, then, you know, he gets hit from behind. Get a little bit of a flavor event with this gentleman here. This gives us access to underhanded techniques for more spy network construction. That is going to be nice once we kind of circle around to it. Almost want to pay for a Diplo slider, but we'll pay for it once we resolve some of our debt. But it is this disloyal subject right here. I believe the idea is you make him disloyal via events with Serbia, and if he becomes less than 50 subject loyalty at the beginning of 1341, that's 4 years, they will change allegiances and become a vassal of Byzantium. Didn't do this in the test run, might try and do it a little bit here. Alright, unfortunately, he seems like he's maybe not taking the bait, so we're just going to start sieging this here. And hopefully that'll work out for us as well. Really, we just need to win one really big battle. And we get an opportunity here to remove one of our government reforms, one that is giving extra power to the estates. This is also part of why putting in a bunch of guys for ruling the states is a little bit bad. And we get the reformed version, which will give us additional crown power and additional cabinet seat, more bureaucracy, entrenchment speed, just kind of stuff that is, generally speaking, good for us. So we will grab that as we kind of wait to see what the situation is with regards to the Ottoman army. I think that we're going to set this up so that people can link up on us, but he should be able to take some slaves here. We're just hoping to get a battle, because then it'll be all over. We're kind of in a comfortable spot, so we're actually going to pump the brakes on the commoner's tax. It's really not generating too much for us. Alright, so we get this earthquake in Constantinople event, which is actually a very good example of why paying for legitimacy is a little bit painful right now. Is there's a lot of events like this, and if we were paying for legitimacy, we just get bopped down. Even if we're break even on it, this doesn't end up working out nicely for us. And the other option is to pay an enormous amount of gold. We don't want to do that. We also get a nice little event, the emergence of a local strategos, who is our current guy who's in charge of the army. This is maybe, the fact that you can roll this event is maybe an argument for doing shenanigans with the army. I don't know the best way to abuse it, but we'll say he'll lead us to victory, and now his stat line is looking pretty nice here as we continue to siege down. Did want to make a little bit of a comment on the running the negative stab or the low stab. The main penalty off this is the main penalty off of this is the minus estate satisfaction equilibrium. This is really not that bad in light of the fact that we don't have much max tax right now anyways. And so this is one of the reasons why running it up high is not too big a deal with that no CB, but also the less stab you have, the quicker you recover it, and we will have more pops, popping revs, but there's kind of a play pattern where we want to pop a rev in order to get rid of the succession crisis. And so running up this stab for this war in order to conduct it a little bit faster is going to be, I think, just generally speaking, an okay enough option for us. Alright, we'll also repay one loan here. There's some events you can roll that require money, so maybe it's worth floating. I don't have a big enough sample size, or I haven't played Byzantium enough to know whether the events are worth it. We're going to take this over and see if he baits into us. That is going to... Oh, it's a flatland. Almost all of this is hills where there's a dice penalty or bonus, but we're going to grab that, and already we can get a pretty sizable peace deal if we were interested. Let's see if our troops link up with us, and if they do link up with us, we'll go in on Bursa. I think if they don't link up with us, we'll still go in on Bursa. We just won't feel as good about it. Yeah, let's go for it. They weren't on the move. Maybe they come this way anyways. This looks like it's going to be a pretty solid battle for us. And with this, we should have enough war score to kind of go for whatever we want here. And may he lead the armies forever. He was indeed victorious. May he never die. What is dead may never die unless it does. So with that, we are just one war score away from being able to take kind of what we want in this peace deal, which is basically all the provinces that we don't have a core on, because we can generate CBs otherwise, and currently it is expensive on the antagonism. We want to avoid a coalition before we could just run over everyone, so I'm not sure we want to take everything, although we might be able to full annex them here. Hold up a second. We do have return state, I do believe, on one of these, and so I think we might be able to do this a little bit better if unless it's automatically doing this return state. But here, does that change anything? Oh, that does make it cheaper for us. We might be able to actually just full annex them here at the outset. Okay, I think we'll do this as the peace deal, just leave them with 2 strips of land. I think they still might get to annex other people, but that's fine. Notably, we're going to leave them with one of our cores so that we can use the return claims CB on them later. This is going to give us 54 antagonism, but that's going to be enough to spike a coalition amongst some of the people, but not the big people, right? Not the people that we started off on the bat. Improving relations with, and this is kind of why we engaged in that play pattern, because it's going to take some time to decay down. We'll be improved the relations more. We have a spy network developing on these guys with the hopes of using return CBs on them. This is kind of expensive, but it's expensive on Turks, who we are planning on annexing all of them anyway. So, and I think Bulgaria is not very friendly with us in either case, so maybe it's unavoidable getting them off of our back. But that will give us a victory. The tide is turning. We will get more assimilation and integration if we kind of keep the legitimacy high, but we're not going to go for that. We will now decrease all of our minting, and we will completely repay the debt, and we won't really spend big. Looks like we do need to still mint a little bit here. I think after some adjustments get made, let's kind of go something like this. After some adjustments get made, if we like wait a month or what have you, we should be in kind of better shape here. But that enormous chunk of cash is going to be quite nice. Restore the old capital, satisfaction, equilibrium. That's probably what we go for. We get it either way. Or we can move towards this. Now we want the... We'll take... Oh, we get prestige either way. I think we want to move towards Latinitas eventually, but we have a really nasty equilibrium towards it. So, we will do the one where we are moving towards Ramonai, which is what we currently have, which will max us out, giving us more stab investment, and also a little bit of tolerance of true faith. And so, that'll be nice for us. We also haven't popped yet this succession crisis, another reason we wanted to know CB, so we can release these guys here as subjects. Also, now that we finished that war, we deleted our army, and we are also going to delete the castles that are not in the capital. This one's kind of okay, still going to delete it. And so that should allow us to run a little bit more of a positive balance so that we can start coming after this inflation, or at least being at equilibrium. It doesn't look like we can quite pay for it, and so we will not be spending anything. But our estates are building stuff, and that works just fine for us. Like, they've expanded out this gold. It was very expensive to do that. Very nice of the nobles to do it. The amount of control we're getting here is decent, so one of the things that's going to be on our radar for going forward once we have some amount of money is going to be a bailiff going right on top of that gold. Okay, now that we've gotten Prausa, previously we've seen this with Nicomacheia, so you might just be able to abuse this and do multiples. We get this ability to demand Bailic tribute for the duration of the disaster. Okay, fair enough, but we also get 20 legitimacy, so now we have this resource to work with before it depletes out. I think what we're going to use this for is new urban rights. Specifically, what's looking quite attractive to us is this Silk Monopoly. This is the thing that really, like, revs our engine, you know? Really kind of brings it to the fore. These enormous economic bonus of some of the stuff here. And so we're going to go in on the Silk Monopoly, which is going to give us huge output bonuses. Also good opportunities when we expand out some stuff good opportunities for us in terms of these buildings. We're not quite at the point where we're building them, and this doesn't look that great, but that is going to be good as well. And then we can also make it a staple port, which is going to give additional harbor capacity, which the important part here is this is our capital. This is where we're pushing proximity out of. That's going to be really valuable because if we take a look at the proximity here, part of what's going on here is the harbor capacity is reducing the cost of this segment, and basically all segments within our empire. It's going to be pretty nice for us to be able to do that just a little bit better, so we will go for the staple port there. Now we will have an additional 10 legitimacy. Looking at the satisfaction, nobody is apocalyptically low. We are going to check our values and make sure serfdom, we have some amount. We have a trend of 25, which is quite a bit, and I don't think any of this is on stuff we want to revoke, which means we can hand out a couple privileges to the commoners, and I think we will do that. I think we'll add these militias. We maybe should have opened with this. The levy size would have been somewhat useful, and then we will... what else? Who else do we want to add? There is some good stuff for the burghers. We kind of want to get the dev rolling, but let's go treasury rights, just because we're really trying to right the ship in terms of our economy. Now, our crown power should be kind of okay. Yeah, it's kind of okay. It's kind of also not. Spread Philhellenism, a cabinet action that gives research speed in the early game. Don't mind if we do. We do have the succession crisis pop, which is going to give us crown power and a state satisfaction equilibrium penalty, but we can't really tax these guys. As far as I understand, you either have to get uber high legitimacy, or you have to get through this in order to revoke the corruption of X. And so getting through this and actually running this is going to be positive for us. We've managed to break it by spawning any rebellion, not just pretender rebels. Not sure if this is WAD, but eventually we could also pay for the legitimacy and stability. There's a bunch of events that give us both of these, though. And so in some ways, this is a double-edged sword in that this can kind of be okay for us. We have a lot brewing up right now in terms of the power of the support and this type of thing. And so we are probably going to look to click some of these buttons. But overall, the succession crisis seems kind of okay for us. We kind of want to hand out some privileges, though. And one of the things these guys ask for is privileges. So let's see if we get a decent request here. The shipwright contracts here. Yeah, that's actually something we're interested in passing out anyways. And so we will click this through, and they will stop supporting the rebels. Silly us, we forgot to put this guy in charge of the boat, which was the entire reason for keeping the boat. We're also going to look, now that this is popped, if we have any crown characters specifically. Nope, they all joined the rebels. Unfortunate. You can see the crown pretenders are brewing up quite quickly, but I don't think they win this, so we're also fine with them just popping, although we do want more events to give us free stab before they pop. Alright, so we have our first parliament. Before running it, what we're going to do is we're going to wait 1 month. I'm not sure if you even need to wait a month, but we're going to pay for Imperial Senate. And the idea is this gives us a huge amount of parliamentary base support, but we just need to ramp it up every now and then. And then we click the parliament button, and as you can see, there's also a bunch of new parliaments here from relative to what we had before. We'll have to read through them and kind of decide what we think is best, like Mountain Pass Charters is going to be new. Proximity speed is a very fine modifier to be having, but the two things that we kind of are, or the thing that we are most looking for is going to be just a ton of support so that we can change stuff around. So I'm guessing that this is going to be what we want to go for then, because we are going to use all of our support and we're not going to pass it. There's very few things that we would be interested in passing, and none of them are kind of on here. Bolster government is actually interesting because this would give you revoke privilege cost modifier, but I don't think we're... Well, actually, maybe we want that in the next 10 years. I think we want to change laws, though, so we're going to go with Mountain Pass Charters. Alright, so entering this, we have a whopping 76% support. We don't have the thing passed for additional support from clergy stuff, so it's basically just all on the nobles to see what we roll. We want to roll specifically, or get out of this pronoia system, which is allowing us to have these subjects. Now, to be fair, we will restart the run, because I haven't tested this. We will restart the run if this bricks our subjects, but previously, as new subject types get bricked, it just prevents you from making new ones of them, and I think instead we will go for the... it's a little bit tough. Let's go for the food production. Yeah, let's go for this. Which, okay, all of our subjects still seem to be subjects, and then we will go support traditional economy. We just are going to be using this early, and now we have a couple of options, but also 10% more max tax on these guys. You can see already our tax should come up quite a bit, and that's going to help out a lot. We have good tax efficiency, but we have like no base tax, and so this is fundamentally the problem for us. We could tax these guys even more, but we would make them very upset, but maybe they're just upset anyways. It's a little bit of a decision point here. Whether or not we go for additional taxes or challenge the entrenchment of the bureaucracy. Specifically, the bureaucracy we want to kind of get rid of is the themata, where it doesn't have very good upside stuff. It's just fort defense and, you know, some of this other stuff. And so if we pay for it, though, or it's also giving, when we don't pay for it, this huge amount of nobles power, there's maybe even a breakpoint where paying for it is going to be worth because it decreases the nobles' power by enough. But I think we want to get rid of the themata system, and so that's kind of where we're sitting. I think we probably just, like, right now want taxes. Incidentally, you don't have to no-CB the Ottomans. You could just wait for this parliament, but they tend to get free subjects, and they tend to kind of get some stuff from events, and I think they don't get it if we brick them like this. So we'll just request the additional taxes here, and then we will just tax these guys anyways, specifically the nobles, because they're already pissed at us. They have low satisfaction, and so that will give us an enormous amount of additional income. We will devote that to get rid of this. I think in retrospect we actually shouldn't have overminted at the outset. We should have just tried to keep things stable, because basically the Ottomans' money paid for our debts. They in fact paid for our sins. We also tax the burghers a little bit more, and we're making money right now. Feel kind of in a comfortable spot, and we're going to look to max out the silk here, because with the modifiers, with 1.64 output per level, that is really, really lucrative for us, and so we'll go for that here. Alright, we're going to throw up a little bit of a Hail Mary. This guy, who incidentally is the ruler of this vassal, who we have that kind of timeline for, is offering us 25 spy network in exchange for basically all the gold we have. And this is kind of an interesting one. We might be able to use the interaction to sabotage reputation with this guy. Oh, how Serbia views them. That's not useful at all. Damn it, we just wasted 12 gold. But the hope was we would make them wait. Oh, I did that wrong. I needed to do this guy. So discontent or sabotage. An event, you say, with our name on it, usury, everyone's favorite. Most of these options are kind of medium or whatever, but the option that gives you negative legitimacy when you have no legitimacy is excellent for us, and so we will be going with that. Alright, we're going to do it correctly this time. We're going to use Serbia and sabotage their reputation with these guys. That's the one. I'm assuming it has a cooldown, and we can't just do it repeatedly on the same guy? Maybe it doesn't, but that doesn't seem like it is enough. Oh no, what will we do? The option that loses us legitimacy, or... I don't think we want primacy of the nobility in, but yeah, the penalty for these, not too harsh. I think we do want it to slow down a little bit, because we want some amount of legitimacy towards the end, because you get a boost in legitimacy, I think, based on your legitimacy. So we're going to click buttons, but also this is kind of a handy-dandy way for handing out privileges if you don't have any. Of course, it's just a random roll, and so sometimes you get a roll that you're not thrilled with, and we have to suffer the consequences of our actions, but it's okay and fine enough. So for our tech, we had rushed the monthly diplomats. Even though we're going to be converting to Hellenism, the monthly diplomats is just so good early that I feel that it's worth it. And then we will go for the burghers one next. And after that, probably institution growth. It depends where the institutions spawn. Spy network also comes to fruition here, where we can use claims on a province to gain a CB. We're going to just put our claim on this province here. Maybe there's some strategy as to which one we claimed. I don't think it's too big a deal, but we will also cancel building that's to buy network. And so pretty nice. I think that we did brick the Ottomans' ability to get these guys as a free subject, because we have eliminated them as kind of the top dog in regards to the rise of the Turks. And so this gives us a little bit more time to put in a spy network on them. We'll probably go down the line and go after every single person. Ooh, that's not the one. Every single person who has, any of the cores that we have or are interested in, and just look to grab all of these guys first. But also, we will pull them into good wars. When we deck on these guys, we're also going to get in on any sort of allies they have, and so we might get in on more Turks if they start allying up. Alright, we want to pump the brakes just slightly, so we commission a dynastic chronicle per the Byzantine crisis interaction in order to just get a little bit of legitimacy. I think we're going to put in Noble Navy. Doesn't really give them that much power. Also gives us progress towards naval, which is something we want eventually, but this is really going to bump up their satisfaction by quite a bit. And with their satisfaction bumped up, the support might go down slightly. Maybe it doesn't. Certainly the insurgents for the other ones are going to go down, which you can pop that as well, but it's looking like the Crown Pretenders are going to be popping soon here, and we will just have to fight them, which maybe is a reason to go after the legitimacy. We do have an event of minus stab or plus stab. I think we're just going to take the stab here. Yeah. Actually, even with a bit of inflation, we do have a pretty cheap stab investment cost, where we are getting pretty heavy discount, and part of this is off the Romanoi, and also Traditionalist, which we're kind of okay for having for now. So there's maybe some sort of play where you can actually pay for a lot more stab if you intentionally go Traditionalist in the very early game, and stack up some of these modifiers, also Orthodoxy. The point is we have quite a lot. And so let's actually maybe start paying for a little bit of this and rake back just how quickly we're getting rid of this, because this is going to, and maybe we float a slight negative balance, this is going to inform how quickly we can revoke everything after a certain point. And we're maybe, if the rebellion's going to pop, we're maybe getting to the point where we want to revoke relatively quickly, and so we'll just get a little bit more stab here. This is a very nice roll. This traveling scholar, which we've never kind of been pleased to see in our life. The spy network on this guy, where we have claims, that's going to be nice. That's going to play nicely. And so we will use that to immediately get claims on province CB for that there, which is going to be fantastic. Also, by the way, we're running negative legitimacy. I said we could get like a ton of legitimacy modifiers earlier. It's like, hey, what gives? It's not paying for the Imperial Senate bureaucracy, which we would have to pay for if we wanted things to go reasonably well. I think we'll go for this extra stab here, and so that's going pretty well. So we'll have 2 CBs cooking. We might have to no CB someone at some point in time, in order to make use of our CBs, so that we have like a land route over to this guy, something like this. We have 5 legitimacy potential, and so we'll click that, and then we'll find some sort of way to spend our legitimacy here. Oh no, we get a civil war. Okay, so we don't get a lot of legitimacy and stab, which we would have if we had more legitimacy and stab going into this. So maybe that's an argument for doing this, but now let's try paying for the cost of court, and no, we can't quite do that yet. We're going to continue to run low investment into the cost of court for now. But we have a little bit of a rebellion, and not a big deal whatsoever. We're just going to raise our levies here, except for the ones that are on islands and this type of thing. And we have way more levies than they do, so this should be fairly straightforward for us to put down, and is an end to the crisis. So we are no longer suffering those malices, so equilibrium on a lot of these is much higher. We can tax these guys out much better. And I think that with the succession crisis over... Oh, we can't revoke this yet. Okay, so we're going to have to ramp up the legitimacy. In that case, we are going to pay for this. That way we're not getting the penalty to our legitimacy. And then we are going to change this guy from appeasing estates to strengthening the government. And then we will see, hey, we just get positive legitimacy for freezies, good dealsies. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually pay a little bit here. We're going to pay until we're about break even. And look to ramp it up a little bit faster. But yeah, we're just running positive cost court or positive legitimacy gain with no investment. It's pretty solid, and we will put this down and then just be in incredible shape here. I don't think it's necessarily the case, because the stuff is applying as efficiency modifiers in regards to some of the merc stuff. I don't think it's necessarily the case that you're like trolling if you do something other than admin focus now, but we're still going to do admin focus. I think I might have misclicked horribly. somewhere. Like an event that popped up, I accidentally clicked on it. But apparently we're guaranteeing the Ottomans now, which is not exactly what we wanted, I guess. I don't know what to make of that, but okay. You know what, we're going to cancel this guarantee, but this might be really cute. Sometimes truces last longer than 5 years. This truce is 5 years. I wonder if you could just guarantee people and then cancel it in order to brick these. But okay, this guy just stays winning. This absolute Chad Lord. We didn't put him in cabinet. We thought about putting him in cabinet, but he's leading the troops, and he's doing a really good job of it. So I'm going to continue to use him and don't need any professionals. We have very good professionals, but we don't have any manpower because we turned off our sergeantry. We might turn that back on soon here, though. I think a significant amount of the money that we get in this very early game is just kind of shaking people down for stuff. And of course, we're shaking him down for money, but we're also going to shake him down for every single province he owns. So this will work out well for us, and certainly not bad for him. Oh no, wait, wrong way. It will work out horribly for him. Chad Lord continues to Chad. I mean, this is maybe a way to farm 100 characters. I wonder if it applies to heirs. This guy's probably getting pretty over the war. And we noticed something. This might be a bug. This might be a bug in that returning costs 0 antagonism for us in terms of the prediction. What? What? We're going to get to appoint a couple characters. We will appoint the Pretender himself because he's a Crown Power character, and this gives us a little bit of Crown Power juice. Unfortunately, we can't, you know, assign him to the head of cabinet, but what we can do is we can castrate him. Now, is this good? No. But did we feel like doing it? Yes. And then also what we will do is for strength in government, we will appoint not the God General, but another guy we have rolled that just has 100 military, and that should be pretty solid, but we need to get a little bit more money before that. Okay, we roll well for this parliament. Now we get bolster the government, which is going to be fantastic because this is legitimacy for us, but getting bolstered crown authority when we are in the market for revocation, if we can get up to high enough legitimacy, this is something that we're interested in. So we're going to go with that and get a bunch of free support. Don't mind contain banking too much. We want to both pass this and also do other... Ooh, lessen levy obligations. That complicates things. That complicates things a lot for what we want to do. We want to succeed in passing this, and we also want to get a CB. We want to get the CB on these guys here. Because these guys, who we have a CB on, are allied with these guys, and we could get the entire coast here, but we don't want to lose the levies. So what we're going to have to do is we are going to have to fabricate the CB on this gentleman here. Go for this, Smyrna as the option. And then we will have to declare war, but declare both of our wars in quick succession. And I'm pretty sure we comfortably win this, but let's go with our claim this war. And then, do we have to wait before doing another war? I don't think so. Parliament approved CB. This works for us. Do we want to fight these guys as well? No, we don't. Not really. So we will not do this. It's all return CBs, and we'll declare the war. And then we will raise all the levies possible. Raise all levies. And then, except for that guy and that guy there. They're not very useful. And then, let's actually double check that we're raising, yeah, we're avoiding raising on the islands. And then what we do is, now we click the button, lessen levy obligation, or actually, I think we wait for them to pop, because I don't think that they decrease once they're already raised. So now that they're raised, let's either get a very valuable lesson or get some free, effectively, levies. Yep, we get to keep the ones that we want or have. Do need a little bit more help here. But that should be enough to get us up to 50%. Wow, Exaxes? Don't see that too often. So, cloth in Byzantium is incredibly lucrative, and this 0.38, it does look a lot less than this amount per level, but this amount per level is how much you're getting from the tax base. this is a little bit of inconsistency here in terms of how it's reported, because this is our profit per level. So this is the amount that's going to the tax base, which is still decidedly less than the silk. The silk's more priority, but this is how much we're getting it from it. So per tax base, we're getting roughly 12 to 13%, something like that in terms of outcome. And this cloth will be the next type of thing we dedicate towards, even though we're still running some amount of inflation. In fact, we'll rake this back a little bit. It is still probably okay for us to build rather than reduce, because this is such a lucrative opportunity, because this has just an insane amount of production efficiency. It's at 28%, and that's with consolidated corruption still on. We'll soon be getting off of that, or we hope to be getting off that soon as we increase the legitimacy. We did kind of rake back a little bit in terms of how much we were doing. Let's see if we can float this and just use our bank, the rest of it, to maintain this level of reduction here. Also, we took everything. We released these guys as subjects. We are currently building a spy network in the Ottomans, but we're just 10 locations away from kind of getting enough locations to end this, but we have to put down the rise of the Turks, and I think we just have to annex everyone, which is fairly straightforward. To that end, we have begun researching, and in terms of what we're researching, we are going for, first, the proximity speed, which I think is solid, very, very strong early. And then we're going for Deus Volt, just in case we need this in order to create CBs. If the Parliament CBs and the return CBs are not enough, we don't really have much return CBs other than the one that we left the Ottomans and what we have on Geneva in terms of what is remaining in Anatolia here. A little bit of an interesting flavor option for reclaiming Smyrna. We can either rebuild the port, and I'm not really sure which one's better, which will give us a lot of dev. This is really strong long term. Or go for merchant quarters, or Smyrna constructs merchant quarters, buildings constructed instantly. Building will be set to its maximum level, and then we get markets of Smyrna, which gives prosperity, which ends up giving dev anyways, and it gives additional market access. What we're going to do, actually, I think, is save and see just how many markets we can actually, how many we are getting there. But something that will affect the max level is going to be if we can give it staple port, marketplace building max levels. So if this just creates like 15 merchant quarters, that's going to be an absolutely insane come up, and we probably should have warped our strategy around this a little bit, although we've still gotten it less than 10 years into the game here. Alright, so it looks like this port thing is not applying correctly, and it only gives us the levels weren't applying in terms of marketplace building levels, or the max level of marketplace in the building, which is distinct from merchant quarters, because when we take a look at this, it's not being applied here. So, or it takes a month and we just got wrecked. So we also have another kind of trading settlement location idea in this location. I think it was triggered by what we did, or the fact that we've taken it, but we will go for the long-term option of dev and prosperity here, rather than going for max control, because it's not like that big a payoff anyways. We're going to also just kind of watch this when this month turns, but yeah, this appears to be a bug, so we'll probably put in a report on this. Alright, so currently the two biggest Beyliks have no issue with us, no beef, because we improved relations with them early on. And at the same time, these guys are coalitioning us. What we're going to do is, we've been kind of holding back on our rivals. Oh, I'm a dum-dum. This gives us spy network construction, and gives us more antagonism. Womp womp. I'm a silly willy. But okay, I was kind of holding off on them because I didn't want people to ally up and create like an alliance of networks, a network of alliances. But now we want that because we're going to get a good CB on the Ottomans. So for 3 of these guys who we want to join the war most, basically, what we're going to do is we're going to rival all of them with the idea that they are much more likely to ally each other as a consequence. And if they all ally each other, we can fight them all simultaneously with what we have going on with the Ottomans. I think we'll also turn back on the sergeantry in here, which we had been holding off on doing for a little bit. The sergeantry notably does give extra crown power in that location, which means that it's cheaper than it looks, but also I think we're going to maybe build 1 unit. Units are expensive, though. Units are expensive. We probably won't. We'll just continue to use levies for now until we kind of get the economy off the ground. Still trying to find ways to this is probably cowardice and fecklessness. It's probably better to either increase legitimacy first or get rid of the minting first, and I don't know which one is better, so I'm just splitting the difference, and one of them is probably better than the other, but I don't really have a strong handle of which one is going to be better. Actually, you know what? This one's probably going to be better. Because, yeah, so we'll just set this to, like, the equilibrium break even, but this one's almost certainly better because we can revoke, once we get to high enough legitimacy or stability, then we can revoke these bad privileges. For whatever reason on our test run, we were able to revoke it earlier or without having 95. For the Black Plague, we'll kind of just do the classic of utilizing the Plague to max out communalism. I think that we'll probably not be able to build too many pest houses, but we will, to the extent that we can, build pest houses in high pop locations, just kind of a little bit of a standard approach here. Constantinople, of course, being the overwhelmingly important one to get stuff down in, but there's a few others that have 50k plus that we would definitely want to protect against the Plague here. So one nice thing about having inflation, and a reason to float 2% inflation, or 2% plus, it gets more probable as you have more, is this. We get very lucky indeed. We will be doing whatever it takes to make sure we get this one through, because this is going to be a pretty big deal for us. If we have to change to de jure instead of, well actually, de jure is even better. We enact, oh no wait, by tradition, it's worse than de jure. Not that big a deal, though, for us. We will gladly click this button. We'll see if we can click more buttons, though. We specifically will take a look through our laws, but I don't think that there's a law in particular that we really want changed that badly, except for the Marshall Society, but I'm not even sure we're max taxing. Oh, we are max taxing these guys. So maybe we change Civil Society, see if we can do a little bit of challenge bureaucratic entrenchment of specifically the themata, but that's going to be what we're looking for. And also max tax. Actually, max tax would be pretty good for us right now. Let's go for additional max tax, and then see about this. And we should be in good shape. Parish complaints, of course, we will go with that and just see what we have to work with. All right, so this is what we have to work with, which is nothing. So we will just increase the max tax, get a lot more revenue, be able to just ramp this up to max, and see our way out of some of these atrocious privileges in just a moment here. Alright, this is like a full disclosure type of moment where I think there might be something strange going on. Not trying to abuse the system, but we have a really massive truce with the Ottomans for whatever reason. This may be really a huge extension to the length of truce times. I'm not sure if that's new on this patch. I don't remember reading anything to that extent. It also might be because we demanded tribute from a Beylik. Which we had done through the Fate of Pheonix, but we didn't demand it off the Ottomans, so the Ottomans we shouldn't have a truce with, and also I don't think we got the tribute from them anyways. So with that said, we can declare on them, and it doesn't give us the normal kind of negative effects from breaking a truce. So we're going to go with this with the understanding that I feel like we shouldn't have a truce right now anyways, and that this war would be okay, and... Okay, we're going to get a pretty nice war. We're going to go for basically everyone who's not the two big guys, and we're just going to look to annex them all. And then once they're annexed, we should be able to fight whatever coalition kind of crops up, but we'll probably use a Parliament CV to declare into the coalition and probably annex the rest of the Turks in just a couple of wars. So with that said, let's get in on them here. So with this, we get a very nice balanced budget at 2% inflation. I think what we're going to do is we're going to start minting again, and we are closing in on 95 legitimacy here. So it's time to click some buttons. Some buttons are more expensive than others. This one, good old-fashioned yoink. We have high enough legitimacy, and it will only cost us 4 stab, and we will get +5 production efficiency, or we will remove a malice to production efficiency here. We also have this one, which will cost us 8. We are getting crushed on max tax, import and export efficiency, trade income, a malice itself. Let's get rid of that too. Just keep an eyeball on kind of some of these in terms of approval as well. We have tolerance, true faith, that's such a big negative impact. Also agenda impact, gonna be a bit annoying. And then max tax for a clergy estate. Represented kind of funny. in the UI. Is that 5% or 0.5%? Or it's scaling? Alright, fair enough. So we'll go with that. It's scaling with legitimacy, it appears. And then this revocation... Wow, why is it so cheap? Did they just massively decrease the price of revoking? I guess they massively decreased the price of revoking, and we didn't need to sweat so hard. But then we will be revoking all of them. So we will be revoking minus 5% max tax for noble estate here as well. And that's going to upset them. But now... let's see the economy after one tick now. Watch it just be like only a few ducats higher. Alright, it's like double the income, something like this. And so that's going to be pretty solid for us. We'll be probably giving out a lot of the normal-ish looking privileges. Let's actually look to slowly decrease the inflation as well, rather than holding the equilibrium. And look, cost of court, hey, we're paying basically nothing. We're paying basically nothing because we are getting a lot out of the combination of strengthened government and... where's the other one? The other big factor here is the bureaucracies. I do believe we are getting... oh, we're not getting legitimacy malice. But we have other stuff that is part of our content that is helping us. Like the subjects, this type of stuff. Alright. Alright, the antag is starting to catch up with us a little bit, and we have to worry about Egypt. Yikes. We do not want to fight Egypt. We're going to improve relations. Probably could have improved relations with them more ahead of time, but that is perhaps keeping us off of a full annex. But I think that we also maybe don't want to take the Ottomans' territory anyways, or at least just leave them with the one thing, just an exclave of the one thing that we have a core on, so we can redeclare on them. And so, gonna try and thread the needle a little bit and see if there's a way for us to avoid a coalition with the Mamluks and take as much as possible. So we finish a governor here, which is now going to be a source of proximity. Now, we build it here. It would have been better in Smyrna, which is also a city, but we don't have a road to Smyrna at this juncture. So we settle for this, but this is also right next to the gold, which we're building a bailiff on. And so the max control here is 63. It's going to go all the way up to 83. We're going to make some subjects, and there's a kind of key important detail when making custom subjects, which we're going to make instead of the historical ones, which is that the exact location you're hovering determines the religion and the culture. Now, often this is not a factor because it's usually kind of similar, but you can see here Sunni and Turk if we choose this location. And then if we choose this one, Orthodox and Greek. We would prefer Orthodox and Greek, and so we will make our vassal in that way. We'll just pick someone, it's not too important. But this way, we will be able to ensure that a bigger portion of kind of this group is our culture. And I think that what we might do, that way we don't have to culture convert them, and they're a little bit more resilient now. I think what we're going to do is we're going to feed the guys who are Greek a little bit more provinces, especially now that having really small subjects is a little bit worse. I forget all the exact details here, but we're going to feed this guy a couple provinces here, which is going to make him a relatively big subject, but there's also a baseline amount of integration cost. We still have to dive into and figure this out a little bit more, but the OPMs are going to be a little bit worse than before, so hopefully this guy is a very long-term annex for us, and he converts all the stuff to Greek because he is, in fact, Greek himself. We're starting to turn inward towards some of the economic stuff because we're actually making a little bit of money after some of this high priority stuff we did over here. So getting the masonry collapse, we're going to continue to expand a bunch of stuff in Constantinople. And much more than before. We have so many levels to burn through. We have such big advantages here. And so we're going to continue to expand a lot there. But also on our radar is expanding a little bit some stuff over here. We do maybe have some potential for building a place to produce iron. We also want to just increase the gold in terms of the RGO. This will be relatively lucrative to us. 2.83 tax base per level. Noticeably, that's like half what the silk was, but we don't have any more potentials on the silk. And Smyrna also will eventually be good. We just need another governor, and we need to build a road there. A road for stuff like loud cars to drive on, but the burghers are starting to expand out the roads already, so would not be surprised if we got a road to Smyrna in relatively good time, in which case we might just delete this and rebuild it in Smyrna, because taking a look at the wealth level, there's just overall more wealth over here. So we do get the coalition declaring into us. It's not too big. It does include Geneva, which is kind of funny. I'm not sure we'll be able to really take any land, though. Mainly just putting down the coalition, which is fine enough for us. We are getting slave rated, though, which is a little bit less fine. Actually, these guys don't, because I think... No, these guys are Greek, unfortunately. Even though we made a little bit of a song and dance about trying to make sure that they were Greek. Maxing out communalism's fine, but so is gaining 7 stabs, so we'll go for that. Although... Stab's not hurting too badly, but the battles are really important here, so we have to win some because we were in rough shape, and this guy certainly will lead our armies forever, and that should be putting us in much better shape. Yikes. Let's try and see. They won a bunch of sea battles against us, which there's nothing we can do about that because we have 0 navy, so we're actually looking in pretty rough shape here from this. The same sweeness that the battles are making everything hyper-decisive is working against us here, but we will see if we can occupy this guy and see him out of this, no, not my gumdrop unit stack. Yeah, it's a stack wiped. That's unfortunate. Not a very big stack, but those are still Greeks. They're dying. Shout out to Ajax. Alright, time for us to reform the Byzantine military. I don't think we're going to click Demand Beylik Tribute again, because every time we've clicked it, it's not been really clear that it's done anything positive for us. But let's do this one. We will able to reform the army or the navy. Reformation of the infantry gives us a little bit of power and maintenance cost for 20 years. We kind of want it on the cavalry. Alright, I guess we'll pay for it. We're making gobs of cash because we did take Parliament increased taxes. That's going to come back down, but still, I think we're in a pretty comfortable spot in terms of what we're doing. We are paying a little bit on... Actually, we're not paying a little bit. Okay, we're paying a little bit on Diplo spending, but that's kind of it. And enough cost to court to kind of trend us back up to maximum. But if we completely kill the cost to court spending, we will eventually get back up. And so we will just pay a little bit just to make sure that we get back up towards 100. And then I think if we start falling below 90 or something like that, we'll just pay more. But this way we can also benefit from positive legitimacy when we spike it in an event. Making a small audible on the tech here, the Ottoman Empire became a subject of the Aretinids, so that means that we can use our claim on the Ottoman Empire to start a fight with the Aretinids, and so we're not going to need the Deus Vult, and so instead we'll go for the ability to upgrade a little bit more cheaply the urban areas, which will be nice. Also, maximum RGO size in towns and cities for us will actually be quite a strong modifier because of silk in Constantinople. So we have been trying to get prices to come down before having a big spun down and just been generally struggling. Courtesy of the promotions feeling a lot more sticky now following the Black Death. And it's been some time and there's still a lot of people dead. The promotions work a little bit differently now where they are going to be a lot slower, but you get pop growth within your social class. But what this means is laborers actually feel way harder to build out. And this combined with the fact that, the megalopolis, one of the megalopoli, really gives you a lot of additional levels of buildings. And also it gives you really big negative max RGO size, which feels kind of bad. Ooh, it even affects frontage? That's crazy. Very interesting. And move capital cost. But with this, we have way more building levels. So something we normally wouldn't do, we're doing now, is we're adding masonry in the capital, and we can delete this if we want to later. And this is kind of a big kind of reason why we're doing this is because deleting it later when money's a lot more trivial will be much better. But we have plenty of laborers here, and our labor promotion here is going to be significantly better. We can't even promote any right now because there's no openings, but because we already have 10,000 here, they will pop grow into having more quite a bit better. And so hopefully this solves our masonry problem so we can spend down. Banking finishes its spread to Constantinople. Speaking of banks, they're really annoying. I don't think we've seen them build as much of their bank buildings as they ought to, but there's not a way we can really stop this, and this, I believe, just diverts tax base maybe this doesn't even divert tax base, and we still get the tax base, but they also get tax base scaling with our buildings, and it does provide, I guess, a little bit of stimulus to the economy too, but it is going to consume masonry. The masonry kind of got collapsed enough to be focusing on the building, so that's what we're going to do for some time here. These are, in particular, very, very profitable, and we should be able to trade them away. I think that we're probably going to also add a little bit of glass in Constantinople. Our glass price is slightly expensive. We did pin these up here, and, ooh, actually, just kidding, it's a little bit cheap. Let's actually just build one, but we want to be able to make sure that we can build marketplaces at a full price collapse. I was assuming that, I forgot that they changed the base price, the price of glass here. Yeah, so it looks like we got to get the glass price to come down a little bit more. But after we get that, we're going to start building some of these marketplaces in all of these other areas, improving their market access and giving us access to trade. Currently, in terms of trade income, we have 44 trade capacity, getting around half a ducat of trade capacity, but this doesn't scale up our slider costs, and so it's going to be important for us, yikes, let's not do that, it's going to be important for us to, or trade income is worth more to us than income from other sources. Alright, so we get this event, and I'm not sure exactly where this leads us down the road. We know that this is the historical option, but we want to flip Hellenism anyways. We have this debate for the ages, and we also see that this modifier would give us a bunch of religious influence. We would lose tolerance to the faith, but we would also lose this modifier, which I actually think is kind of a nasty one, because we want to conduct synods. We've been banking for some time some of this, so we're going to go with this option. It's going to give us a 12 stab hit, but now our synod should get cheaper if we let the game tick for a second. Is that the floor of which we were going to have the cost here? Okay, so we're at base cost now for the synod, so let's do an Orthodox synod, and now we'll have a little bit of a look-see, but there's a ton of different modifiers you can get for various things, and the synods, I'm not sure if these have been changed. Some of them are quite strong, like tax efficiency, max tax. Max tax, for example, if we had gotten that early, this would give us a lot of ability to do stuff. Tax efficiency, always a strong modifier. You only get to do one of these options. I think the prosperity one is particularly powerful. Monthly control in some contexts can be good, but having a lot of these running is perhaps one of the benefits of 10 research progress is kind of nice. One of the benefits that you kind of get from Orthodox that is not as apparent in an immediate fashion, that you can get some of these modifiers going on. Defense of the faith, speed of integration, 10%. Although I do think this is this is an efficiency modifier, not a discount modifier. But I think what we're going to go with is the prosperity one. So we are going to not go with clerical taxation. We get local administration, which this is also an interesting one, minus separatism. But I think it's pious prosperity that we want. So we'll click through on this, and we will do pious prosperity for 10 years. And that is quite a bit of time, and, oh, they switched it. It used to be, no, wait, okay, monthly prosperity. This is what we want. So that'll give us more development in all of our areas, and we call our first synod here. In the classic case of generalist doesn't have eyes, we see reestablished Hellenism here. Well, we see it now. We didn't see it before. We do have to hover this in order to kind of see what is required. But it looks like either Latinitas or Romanoi is going to be what we need, and we need all the holy sites of the Hellenism religion. Is there a good way for us to show the holy sites of the religion? It doesn't appear so. That is kind of a little bit annoying. Where are the holy sites? 6 out of 28. I'm guessing it's all of Greece? Alright, spammed out a few buildings. In particular, we have the lumber mills coming out. We have a few of those coming out in Constantinople. Our Constantinople queue is kind of long, going for the spinners guilds and this type of stuff first, and the very lucrative silk. But then we're going to go for a couple of lumber mills, and the lumber mills, we cannot get the price to collapse yet on lumber very easily. I was trying to do it through the RGOs, but the new promotion system is seeming to be quite slow as you're kind of getting off the ground, I think, especially if you don't have a lot of laborers. it's just like not promoting very, very fast. The laborers grow and they promote, but the promotions alone are not fast. So really kind of ramping up someplace without slaves, because slaves would be able to operate this instantly, is going to be a little bit of a slow affair. So because of that, we can't rely solely on that for lumber, so we're kind of building lumber mills earlier than we otherwise would, trying to build it close to the market capital, because that's going to increase the throughput of the lumber mill, and then also, just like the masonry, trying to make use of the fact that we have a ton of laborers here in Constantinople. We are building some lumber mills there. In fact, we'll build to the point where we don't have available laborers for the lumber mills. However, we do have the price collapse now kind of gotten in on masonry. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a bunch of market villages here. Also notable is the map starts out with like a lot more market villages just already. This type of thing, you can see all the ones within our market, and so a little bit more developed in. But the idea behind having one of these everywhere is, of course, as everyone kind of is more familiar with by now, the possible burghers promotion gives you burghers. These burghers confer their literacy bonus, which is a development bonus. So you're not really into the production method here, and you're not really into the trade capacity. It's a very bad rate for trade capacity, but you're into this possible burghers enough that you do want one of these everywhere. Market access is also a nice little bonus too. We're still a little bit away from being able to embrace banking. We're going to go for Deus Vult here, and then on max literacy of the burghers. That's kind of the especially useful stuff that we have remaining in the free tree. We can go Mediterranean Galley if need be. That's probably what we'll pick up if we have or are not able to embrace as quickly as possible. Also, stuff like the army morale and some of the navy bonuses will be quite nice. Navy repair costs is kind of okay. Mainly just the morale bonuses and the galley are probably what's good left in the tree. I guess the nobles... Actually, I think nobles literacy is not very good if I recall correctly. So, kind of squeezing out the good opportunities here in this tree. This is unfortunate. We were actually just thinking about castrating this guy, and I know that sounds a little weird to think about castrating your son, but as it stands, the succession, the methodology of the succession is such that if they're blind, castrated, disfigured, etc., it gives you a really big legitimacy hit, but this guy's a terrible ruler. The thing is, the next guy in line was not so kind of good himself. We might make some more threatening rivals here, next opportunity we get. But this is unfortunate. Who's the next in line? Yeah, this guy is nothing too special himself. And so this is going to be an opportunity. If you have a really good next in line guy, castrating your son might be a good option. So in terms of the small subject meta, this is going to be something that is pushing us quite a bit and something we probably make adjustments for. You can see the base cost of annexation, plus 200. And then the 5 rural settlements. So this is going to make it so that you want to make several province subjects, which we kind of have a few standouts of not having that. So our annexation will be a little bit slower than it otherwise could be, but we should be in fine enough shape regardless. This is not too big a deal. It just means we're just going to be slowed down on the annexations and such. Alright, because of truces and such, I think we're going to turn the other way and go after Serbia here. They're notably allied with Epirus, who we are allied with, and now we're kind of realizing we want to annex in a little bit more of a timely fashion, let's say. And so, with that said, why don't we have a little bit of a go at them? This should be fairly straightforward for us. We will keep our navy at home because it's small. And another thing to note is the way that we play, we do have this higher Merc premium cost, and so we have to keep this in mind, but Mercs, even through this, are probably still reasonably strong in a pinch, but we would rather lean on our regulars, which is nice because we have really good regulars for this age, and so we will actually... Yeah, let's just raise all the levies, except for on these little islands here. So we'll just annex Epirus here, and because we know we're going to be a little bit behind... in terms of how quickly we can annex our subjects, so we kind of have a lot, and Byzantium has some pretty serious bonuses for integration, which we will poke around for a little bit more. I think what we'll do is we'll actually use one of our cabinet slots to integrate, and we'll just look to integrate these provinces rather than kind of going through the normal song of dance of using subjects. We could actually be a little bit smarter about this, though. Upper Macedonia has a base cost. this base cost is 200. What we'll do is we'll actually, we will gift them. Actually, we're gonna make our subjects bigger. Shout out to the loud car outside. And only integrate this southern portion. So we won't integrate everything. We'll give the other stuff away to other subjects. But we'll integrate these two provinces here with our cabinet action. We're planning on getting a few other Greek provinces. We have, with our parliament here, gotten claims on these guys and also on Morea. So we should be cleaning up kind of the stuff that is a little bit easy to go after. This is going to be allied with Sicily, or Sicily is going to be allied with Aragon. We will have decent amount of attrition, but this might be a war that we go for. We have a subject that has a claim here, and then Naples, their block is kind of a little bit strong, so we don't want to deck into it right now, especially because we can't, or we're less incentivized to merc up, but we do annex all of this here, and it's a little bit less important to us that we secure for ourselves kind of the cores that we have on Serbia. I think what we might do is we might take our Serbian cores, in just the cores, and leave the cores of the subject or something like this, or just like try and you know, kind of peel off any premium. There aren't really any premium RGOs unless we were to go all the way up to that silver. That's maybe an idea, but I think that's going to be a little bit too much antagonism with the Catholics, and we don't want them to be having a big block against us. So the settlement's just kind of an insane building. We're just going to bite the bullet and pay the extra cost on the settlements because we didn't get a full price collapse, but it doesn't seem like we're getting it through anytime soon, but we would like 1% population growth and a means to redistribute our pops a little bit with the migration attraction so that some of these other places can kind of start building up. I think with that, we have had the granaries turned off for some time. We're going to turn the granaries back on. Or not all of them were turned off because we acquired new territory, but a lot of them were turned off. We're going to turn them back on, which is going to eat into our masonry demand, but we have a pretty good price collapse on masonry, or we did. It's about to spike up with the construction of all these settlements here. So we get a cute little historical event where Venice wants to change our economy and enact the starvation coin, which wouldn't be very good for us. We don't have copper production and we have gold production, and our current coinage law is gold and silver, so we're going to say no. Interesting, though, that it does offer a -2 inflation, but we've kind of already handled that, and we don't mind moving more towards trad economy. We aren't making the transition yet, and so this is kind of fine with us to be pretty high up there before we make a swing towards cap economy. Hey. We haven't seen the AI engage in any sort of these actions, like corrupting our officials, since before release. We're gonna get minus efficiency of cabinet. This is pretty sweet, and is a reason to not piss off the rest of the world. Why don't we improve relations with the papal... Wait, where are the papal states? Where'd you go, bro? They do have us rivaled, but looks like they've been sort of exiled to Avignon. Oh, we're already improving relations with them. Womp womp. So we kind of have two pressures on us right now. From the perspective of Stab, we want to embrace this institution. This is going to be 45, but we do have some more useful stuff to research, and we can wait for our innovative push, which we're pushing right now. Kind of getting all the values in place has been a little bit slow. Been trying to figure out a way to get naval, but it's not been very successful considering ruler and heirs rolling general traits type of stuff, types of activities. And okay, this guy's awful. Would love for him to roll an admiral trait. Also, the fact that we have a standing army is not helpful, but this guy was our heir for a little hot minute, and that made it difficult because he does have that trait. But more to the point, we have two pressures. One of us is on the loud cars outside, which makes it harder to make videos for video games and this type of thing, and it's an intractable issue. But putting that aside, our other thing is we want to get rid of Themata, and this is one that feels like it's going to be expensive no matter what. And so I think we're just going to nip this in the bud and then go for some of those morale texts, some of those like a little bit less optimal texts, because we want to be able to put in a better bureaucracy system. This one is certainly a little bit appealing. This one is not so appealing, although we do love our Unix. But this one kind of, I'm not sure whether this is a percentage modifier or a flat modifier, but that is maybe going to be an interesting one for us, allowing us to navigate this early game, but then also the monthly legitimacy, when this gets really entrenched, That's going to be, we just kill our slider. We just never pay for that slider again, and so bureaucracy effectively is going to replace this. Now, we have ability to gain more slots, and so we're not super concerned with running out of slots, and already we kind of know that we eventually want this one, but I don't think we need the governor just quite yet, although this is quite strong. And then this one's a little bit interesting as we stack more and more integration modifiers, but okay, we're going to go ritualistic court for here, and we are going to pay for it, unlike the other one, and so with it being paid for, we can just completely kill our slider, and we will not lose any legitimacy. We will be actually exactly break even. Let's not completely kill the slider. Let's make it so that we gain half a legitimacy a tick, so that will reduce the cost of our slider here. And so we're exchanging one cost for another. I think this also isn't very entrenched right now. It has 0 entrenchment, so as it gets more entrenched, as it moves towards 100%, this bonus will double, and we will get to the point where we don't have to pay for any sort of bureaucracy, and we can maintain, or sorry, we don't have to pay for any legitimacy, and we can maintain max legitimacy at the same time. So it does look like Sicily is mixing it up with Naples and has managed to punt their entire stack. And so we will take this as an opportune time to declare war on them and take Athens, or take the return CB and probably just annex everything here. Well, this is a new one, and this looks quite strong. While it's being enacted, 10% or 5% tax efficiency, and then war taxes, 5% tax efficiency. So that's going to be a pretty useful parliament for us. I think that, yeah, okay, we have very little base support because it's a government one, but we should be able to get it pretty easily here. And we do want serfdom support anyways, so it's kind of just been, for the most part, just clicking through on our nobility. But it looks like we're going to be able to get at least one other thing in here. We were challenging the entrenchment here and there of the kind of one that we didn't like, the Thema system, but we've since gotten rid of it. Hopefully that doesn't brick any of our content, but I think what we're going to be doing now is just kind of requesting additional taxes and then going after it. Saloma is one of the Greeks that we haven't annexed, and it's independent, but we're expecting Thessaly to be able to make a claim on them at some point in time, so not going to quite go for it. I think we just go for the additional taxes. Pretty straightforward on the parliaments here. And then go for reduced opinion, and then that's probably it for us. Very interesting. So, I don't think this is because they were a Beylik. I believe this was because they were our unique subject type. And I didn't realize that on death, they revert to us. We have a few of these subjects, but that's good to know. Or the heir on death will revert to us. Now, it's not culture converted the way we want, but everything is integrated, so we might just keep it, with the idea that eventually we engage in some cultural conversions here. I wonder if integrate area is any easier to get. If it is, integrate area on Pontus will probably be pretty solid anyways, as well as Central Anatolia, and kind of high priority for us because these areas are not the right culture. Shout out to not being the right culture. So this will be maybe one we just keep, but kind of a free integration for us. We will bop this, though. Don't want any of that. And now we turn our attention back east, towards the Ottomans. Things have cooled down quite a bit, and we should be able to use claims. And we're going to co-CB these guys, just to get more guys into the battle. We are probably... Can we co-CB, double co-CB? No, we already have it on both the Arachnids and the Karamanids. So we're probably going to look to just annex the whole shebang, the whole shaboodle. You can see that the 3 remaining Beyliks that are quite large are all going to be joining this war, and the war leader is the Ottomans. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to occupy the Ottomans and then kind of pick these guys off one by one. Well, I mean, this is a vibe. We just get 50% integration for free on Athens. It's been reclaimed, I suppose. We also take a chunk out of the first Beylik here, and now, in terms of the number 3 rated Beylik, is the Archpids, or these guys, out over here. Things not looking good for the Beyliks. Alright, because of antagonism reasons, don't go for all the Karamanids, and go for a big chunk of the Retinids. This seems fine enough. I think we will be able to get them in one go. We do distribute some of the stuff to our subjects. We will be making new subjects, and we expect a pretty hefty coalition of people around here, but we're not really concerned with these guys too much. We did take pains to make sure that Venice stayed under the 50 breakpoint because we didn't want Venice to get involved in stuff, but we're kind of okay with Genova getting involved in stuff. If they deck a coalition war against us, I'm pretty sure we can win. Would love Genova to be the leader because then we could take some stuff off of them, but also we might just deck into someone like these guys if there's a coalition that forms and Genova's in it, which seems like that might be the case. If this is going to be the case, then we will be able to... Venice is already in. Venice is already in. That's unfortunate. We're improving relations with Venice, but we were trying to keep them out. But the point is that Genova currently has an alliance with Austria. And Austria is the HRE, the Emperor. And when the Emperor gets involved, apparently, and we tested this a little bit, apparently it'll pull in a bunch of, like, other people, like Bohemia, and we can't fight Bohemia. So we want, if Genova gets involved, we don't want to have direct involvement against Genova here. So the HRE able to protect itself a little bit better here. Ooh, look at Holland, doing Holland. Look at that. How did that happen? Very interesting. Okay, but we'll make a couple of new subjects in here and here. And we're starting to just have 2 province minor subjects, or larger subjects, just generally speaking. That way we can annex them a little bit better. These guys are not a hyper priority for us, kind of back here. There's not a ton of economic activity, and we will be able to do stuff kind of without them. Something that's worth noting, too many Turks have been put into this guy, and he flipped Turkish instead of Greek. He was originally Greek, and now he's Turkish. This is a little bit unfortunate. We might start feeding his provinces to this guy instead, the county of Usak, because these guys are pretty clearly Greek, and so we might feed entire provinces over to him, so he starts converting them to Greek. This is one of the reasons why we're feeding provinces to this guy, is because he's already Greek, and so the hope is that we get a lot of this Turkish pops converted so that we can get cores when we eventually integrate everyone. Alright, this has been kind of painful. We've been actually paying for a decent chunk of stab, but I think we just have to embrace banking at this point. There's a little bit more stuff we could have done with our subjects to have them feed us the institutions a little bit faster, but just a little bit slow on the take. We will take the 33 stab hit, which will be unfortunate, but we'll have some good stuff to kind of put in here. And I think what we're going to do is we're just going to beeline Barks, because then our control is really going to be able to take off. I think if this was less of a priority, we might stall for a little while longer. That way we could, you know, call the garbage truck to take out the trash. But, you know, as it stands, we're going to have to do this. Also, we've been trying to massage some culture stuff. Turkish really, really hates us. I don't think we're going to accept Turkish. This is maybe a strategy we could go for, but the subjects that we released are both Armenian, so they're going to convert everything Armenian, and then we could feed them a bunch of Turkish land and try and feed this other Turkish land to our Greeks, and then just accept Armenian and use the subjects to completely assimilate them. We also, there's a cooldown now on the action to enforce culture, which is going to promote you to have bigger subjects because because there's a cooldown, you can't just send it off everywhere. I don't even see it in here, but we used it on this guy to enforce this guy to be Greek. Hopefully he doesn't flip Turkish again, but we would really like this to be able to be Greek, and we maybe even have to feed some of his territory to someone who is Greek, like this guy. That way they can, yeah, maybe we feed this province away. That way it's more likely that they don't flip it back to being Turkish. Something like this. So we get gravel road parliament. We are going to pay 720 to build a gravel road all the way to Smyrna. This is going to be the kind of biggest discount chance we get here, and this will increase dev in the area, but also it will allow us to move on this local governor that we have over here. Move it on over to Smyrna, because I do think that overall, that's going to give us a lot more eco, you know, here than it is over here, despite the gold being very, very lucrative for us, and so that's going to be good. Also, here, we will fabricate a CB. We don't really need to pass this parliament, and we're going to fabricate it on these guys, because these guys are a coalition. We want to deck into the coalition and use this to kind of scoop up as best we can, basically all the Venetian and Genovan land. So I guess Venice being in here is kind of okay, because it's basically just Cilicia, Venice, and Genova. We maybe subjugate these guys and kind of feed the rest to ourselves. Who's this? Alright, well, I guess we feed them to our subject there. And so that should be pretty good for us, just in terms of what we are doing. And really, really comfortable is us just having the... Running Imperial Senate, like, kind of feels okay. I think this is one we want to get rid of eventually, as Parliament becomes less important to us, but as it stands, the support just coming in, the fact that we have max support, just feels really nice. We can't increase entrenchment with this. That would be kind of nice, but we could decrease it. Of the bureaucracies, because more entrenchment gives us more of the positive modifier. Like here, we have estates power minus 50% base, and is boosted because of the entrenchment up to minus 90%, which is letting us have a decent amount of crown power when we kind of have no business having crown power that high with like super low control and a bunch of privileges and etc. So it's kind of unfortunate that we can't castrate our son. I don't really think we need to elaborate on this. I think it's pretty straightforward here. Alright, just getting so much war score from battles now, that we're able to just kind of cheekily pick off a few stacks that are trying to land us, and then this guy is willing to peace out, and he's willing to give us the bag. The whole shaboodle. Venice and Genova don't really have a say in the matter, I suppose. We're even getting this fort over here, so this is going to be pretty nice. Save us some annoying things. We are kind of accruing a stable of people who are categorically opposed to us. We're just taking care that we don't make them too big or too powerful of guys. But this should serve us for now. We will get truce with Genova and Venice, and we maybe even try and improve relations with Genova and Venice here off the back of that, because other than taking the land that we just took, we don't exactly want a war with them. And it might have been a little bit more spiky to like go after some of this stuff off of Genova, but do kind of want to fix the borders as best as we can, and doing that involves, you know, kind of claiming this stuff, at least at this juncture here. Well, this is an absolutely massive modifier that we can get for 50 years on this province, or on this location here. That makes that way stronger in terms of just getting a bunch of dev. That's quite a big number. The trade capacity is also nice. It'll more than pay for itself, and it also gives prosperity. Yeah, we're definitely going to pay just 100 ducats for that, quite a big bonus. And also, we have now quite a bit more proximity overall in areas where we have high control, so that'll be pretty nice. It will take a little bit of time for this to ramp up. We maybe can massage this along, though, increase province control, especially in the provinces that are high value, and just accelerate this. We do get a little bit, I think, from our bureaucracy that we had added, which, was this one the one that gave us a little bit more control? No, this wasn't. There was something somewhere where it was increased control. I think it's the bureaucracy we left on the table, which would have been good here, but it'll get to the equilibrium fast enough. Alright, coming to a bit of a realization here, which is these guys will never convert the Turkish pops because the new subject modifier is a subject, minus 50%. And also combined with accepted culture being a bit of an issue, right? And this might make Humanist good again. Humanist was good for some time, or is kind of good on release. But you can see here we're getting like minus 160%, and we only have positive like 30%, so they will never convert a single pop, or they will never assimilate a single pop. For some of ours, they maybe can be able to do it, so that this guy, for example, I don't know if he's accepted Turkish. If he has accepted Turkish, then it's going to be an issue. It looks like he hasn't accepted Turkish, so he can slightly, basically, overcome this if he decides to use a cabinet action, but maybe he doesn't. Without the cabinet action, the conquered modifier is going to be too much. Although he eventually will integrate. So that's kind of like this guy here. He's working on integrating it. But, yeah, this is maybe kind of a dead end slash we need to rethink about going humanist as a play pattern rather than getting the economic stimulus from the additional clerics. We go humanist, and the tolerance is actually pretty nice as well, especially if you're doing a lot of conquering. But with the assimilation speed, which you pass on to newly created subjects, then they would be able to culture convert stuff. But also, we might enter a territory where we have to culture convert stuff ourselves, and we got to play more of this game with accepting cultures and improving relations with people so that we can accept their cultures. So, for example, we kind of probably want to accept Bulgarian. It would be nice, although I don't think we're going to be able to do that, if we could do this ask to improve cultural opinion. Now, what we can do is we can feed them gold to get favors. We can just shove gold down their throat and be like, you'll take it and you'll like it. And this is maybe what we do, just feeding gold to someone we don't like so that we can improve cultural opinion. We can, if we find the biggest Turk, we can maybe do this with the Turks, but kind of a weird strategy. I do think that gold scales as well. Is this scaling with our economy or theirs? Oh, did they change the scaling? If it's scaling with their economy, it might be time to accept some Turks and improve cultural opinion with our enemy, the Eretnids. The issue is we have to keep the Eretnids reasonably large if we're going to do this. I mean, I think that we get the good ending on this anyways, even if we don't just annex everyone, because the rise of the Turks is going to go away. It doesn't have the ability to maintain with its current status because once the year gets past 1400, the small guy or the biggest guy is too small for this to continue. The Turks are definitely not rising, so we could try and hold these guys hostage, ship them gold on cooldown, because there is a cooldown on sending the gold, and do this to improve. There was like old mini games where you're trying to extract favors, but the idea here is we send them 83 gold and we get 10 favors, even though we're fighting them. It doesn't matter, because once we get 50 of these, we can get after it. But this has a cooldown, unfortunately. Cooldown is 10 years. So, 50 years to improve cultural opinion. So, we will look to not annex these guys for 50 years. We'll also probably ship some gold to Hungary. We were currying favors before. I think it doesn't pop up unless you have enough favors or something like this, but I do believe it's 20 to get them to break an alliance. We want them to break their alliance with Naples. As it stands right now, I believe, Hungary has an alliance with Naples. We don't want to fight Hungary. We just want to fight Naples alone, so that we can go after the Greek stuff. And so, this is one of the reasons we are currying favors with them. But this has been a resource that's, I think, generally speaking, been underdeveloped or underutilized, and is probably going to make a little bit of a comeback. If it's really hard to integrate pops, then you have to accept cultures. Or assimilate pops, then you have to accept cultures. And then the minigame changes. The problem for us is that accepting Turkic is really, really expensive. Or Turkish is really expensive. But if it weren't so expensive, it would be nice, and we could get it cheaper by improving their cultural opinion. Alright, there are other things we can do. It appears that when we're taking a look at things, the modifier for Greek has a negative opinion of Turkish is a positive one for promotion, and Turkish has a negative view of Greek is a negative one for promotion. So, if we prove Turkish opinion, we can get easier culture conversion. We also are going to be decreasing basically this, we're going to be increasing this modifier for ourselves. Maybe we can still get conversion running and we don't need to play quite so many games. But what we're going to do here is we're going to try worsening our opinion of Turkish. I don't know. I don't know if this is the play, but we're just going to kind of investigate here. We have a lower opinion now of Turkish, and with that done, Greek is an enemy of the Turkish. This is giving us plus 30%, so we will integrate quite a bit faster here. I think this gives them a satisfaction malus, but not as big a satisfaction malus as this one. Their opinion of us is the more important one, and so this will actually allow us to assimilate them faster. Of course, we won't assimilate because the level is integrated unless we apply a cabinet action, which we might for this province specifically, because we're like pretty close to what we need in order to kind of core these last two provinces. But kind of a little bit of a cheeky thing that we could do is make our opinion worse so that we can convert them faster. Also, regarding the alliance break, I think that we actually need an alliance with Hungary ourselves to force him to break an alliance with Naples. And currently, he's not feeling that because of a targeted coalition. And so what we're going to do is we're going to up our Diplo spending a little bit more. We've been slowly kind of increasing it, and we're planning on integrating another person here as well. But we're going to start improving opinion with some of these people who we think are less mad at us, some of the people on the peripheries, to pull them out of the potential coalition threshold and like pull them way out of the potential coalition threshold. That way we can set ourselves up to be able to ally Hungary here. We also hopefully will get some better trade opportunities here. Currently, we're only making around 1/3 of a ducat per trade capacity, which is pretty rough, but we are about to gain some additional range here. Yeah, his services will be useful. We'll indeed take him. And then send for a medicus. Who is this? Our daughter? Yeah, we'll just, we'll say a prayer. Actually, we probably want to spend the legitimacy, and this is something like a play pattern that, to be fair, maybe we actually don't ever want to, we just want to max this out and get back to 100 legitimacy as much as possible, because every time this happens, and we get a legitimacy event, we can actually put in some various things. We can grant urban rights. In particular, Staple Port is one of the ones kind of thinking about, just generally speaking. The max marketplace building levels, I'm not 100% sure if we keep the market in Constantinople. We might just for the sake of RP or something like this, but max markets are more valuable, like kind of more towards the periphery here. Like a market would be valuable here, or max market, a Staple Port would just generally look better here. So why don't we put that in? And then we can also put in the our third. We already have 2 urban rights here. We can put in our 3rd urban right on them. I don't know how bad we think losing the pop migration speed is. I think that we kind of still do okay, but we have, from the megalopolis, we get an enormous amount of food capacity. And what we can do is we can make this a granary town, and it will give us less food decay for that massive food capacity and give us plus 50% on it. Plus, just handing out all the privileges to there seems to make some sense. Here, we probably aren't going to have a market capital here anytime soon. And then we know we're going to get a bunch of dev here. Probably wouldn't mind the extra harbor capacity. And just looking to spend 20 legitimacy here. I think there's probably one other privilege we could maybe think through. The olives here? Okay, we make this a market town as well. I just generally... Oh, it already is one. Enchanté. What about roads here? Roads, I'm not even sure we want to be a town to begin with. I'm sure there's, like, some place where we could put this in. What about here? Yeah, I don't really like this privilege, the negative production efficiency, but the institution promotion's an interesting one. I think having one of these kind of on the outskirts is maybe reasonable. And so maybe this actually is a reasonable spot for that, where we can give out the... Oh, it looks like it already has granary rights. Maybe we just don't have a good spot then. What do we have in here? We don't have any. Yeah, let's make Athens a staple port. And then let's pray for her life. In case we rolled at 25%. Alright, well, you know, it do be what it is. Oh, the point we wanted to make here. We get access to 3 new markets, or 4 new markets by the looks of it, which is going to be nice for us. So hopefully, moving forward, our trade is going to be worth a little bit more, and it is worth a little bit more. Instead of 1/3 of a ducat, it's worth roughly half of a ducat here. Oh, you can't see it, my big ugly head. So instead of worth, you know, 1/3 of a ducat, it's roughly half a ducat. So slight improvement. Okay, we're going to try and manage some stuff by transferring subjects. For example, Thessaly, we're going to transfer one of our subjects to them. We're going to transfer this itty-bitty guy with the hope that Thessaly... can we set a price? Okay. Pay us everything, my guy. with them taking on our subject, the hope is that eventually they annex the subject. And by doing this, we are hoping that we can put ourselves in a situation where we can annex bigger subjects by feeding them to each other and using their diplo to annex the smaller subjects. So maybe this is the evolution of the subject metagame, is you feed your subjects to your subjects. This was possible before, but it was just kind of unnecessary, and so now maybe this is kind of the most expedient way to play. So we're maxing out, like, in some of these areas where we have in the province either clay or stone, we're maxing out production of masonry. This is something we would use the auto-expand mod for, but the auto-expand mod on the early version of this loud car outside is bricked, and so we can't utilize it. But I think what we're going to be pushing just around the corner is going to be granaries. We don't have an absolutely enormous amount of population, and what these effectively give us is flat pop growth, and so this will be fairly good for us. The price collapses seem way harder to achieve. I haven't taken a closer look at the math, but it is much harder to get this, and I think that in general, striving for the minus 33% always is probably a bit of a mistake. So why don't we just put a couple granaries in to get the pop promotions juicing on all these places, because I think the second you queue it up, it actually starts the pop promotion. That way we can start getting some pop growth from these things, because we do eventually want to max them out, but they consume masonry, so we also want to, alongside that, add some masonry in. We're also going to come in here. We're sorting by laborers, by the way. This is something that we don't really showcase too often, but it's nice in the UI for exactly what we want to do. We want to make sure that both the lumber mills and the masons are subsidized as well, because if the price collapses harder and maybe we just need a little bit of a, subsidy to kind of push it over the edge and operate at a little bit of a loss so that we can get a discount on our buildings, that's fine enough with us. We just got barks. We have 15 in the queue, but this is our current state of affairs in regards to proximity. It's about to get much, much better. For the tech, I think we're going to make a move towards Thirst for Knowledge, give us the additional max literacy, which will give us more research speed as we gain that literacy, and then also the Aqueduct system max level. We've taken a closer look at this building. It's only in some of these chief locations, but this is a 0.1 monthly legitimacy modifier for us, in addition to a bunch of extra bonuses for Constantinople. So we'll take that in right now. Just kind of having a little bit of a cruise. I think that we're almost certainly going to want extra bureaucratic offices as well. Did that replace? Oh, looks like that replaced the tech. Huh. Does everyone have bureaucracy now, or do we have bureaucracy instead of... Oh, no, wait. It's still the same thing. Just kind of going a little bit crazy because this also has on it bureaucracy implementation modifier, so it's engaging with the bureaucracy mechanic, which we have as Byzantium, but not everyone else does, but it also has the thing that is going to be giving us everywhere a little bit of prosperity, so we'll go for that. We maybe go for rag paper, we maybe go for the mercs, or we maybe spread enough by then of Renaissance to embrace Renaissance and kind of go up the Renaissance tree. Well, I mean, I guess we won't have to castrate him now. We literally just promoted him into the cabinet not even a month ago. So that is a little bit, that's a little bit of a vibe. Our new heir will be this individual, who is the Crown Prince, who so far doesn't have any negative characteristics which justify castration, which of course the point is it removes them from the line of succession for us. Alright, couple things. We're going to start currying favors for Trebizond. Probably should have been doing this from the start. Do want to kind of work those on up. I do believe you just generate them if you're allies and we're allies, or this is how it's worked in the past, but this might have been reworked. Also, we can now ally Hungary. But I realized that the issue with Naples is that they are in a personal union. I think we'll still go with the alliance because we have been working towards this, and they're enemies with some of the people we're enemies with, and we won't generate antagonism on them if we go after Bulgaria and the like, and we might even be able to call them, speak of the devil, we might even be able to call them in against Bulgaria, and so that'll be useful. Do they not accept? What is going on here? Can we not call them in? If they're allies. Oh, what's this? What's this? Why are you... Why are you joining with Bulgaria? Are we missing something? We may have missed the plot. I thought I remember them. Oh, they're allied with Bulgaria. Last we checked, they were rivaling Bulgaria. Well, this works for us anyways, because now we will be able to use the hostile action, isolate from allies here, in order to get them to back off of this alliance, so that we can deck without them interfering. Alright, we sent Hungary a gift of like 200 ducats to get the extra favors, and now we can isolate him from Bulgaria, which is going to... Ooh, did that give us 20 antagonism on Hungary? I didn't even read through that. That might be a little bit new, whatever that was. But now we can use our claim province CB once we kind of get on up to having enough diplomats here and have a much easier war. We do have claims up here in Bulgaria, but specifically we're probably going to go after the coastline first, because that's going to be where we actually can apply the most control. And some of the claims, just not all of the claims, do want to leave some left over for future wars. Some of these new cabinet traits are pretty strong. We get the architect trait coming in, minus 5% buildings cost, and that's going to be a good one. We might be getting a little bamboozled here. We have abandoned kind of our sieges to some extent. Chasing after this stack, I think this is the only big stack remaining, which is why we're kind of okay with this, because if it's over here, it's not going after our stuff. Well, this guy stops chasing. That's not ideal, because we don't exactly want to go in on the 7k stack, but this guy has, if I recall correctly, a trait of run fast. Yeah, he runs fast, and he has the trait, which gives that. And I think the morale difference is going to be good enough, but this may be a little bit spewy, to be honest. Yeah, just kidding. We're super chads, and we never doubted our man for a moment, because he has uber stats via the event every time we win a battle that is consequential. Apparently that one wasn't consequential enough. He gets more traits, and I think that is going to be the war goal for us, so that will be pretty nice, and we will come back on over. Easy peasy. We would have had to deal with another 20k guys if Hungary were in this war, but they're not in this war because we know how to maneuver diplomatically. That's not diplomatically, that's diplomatically. I think this is going to be the last parliament of the session, probably going to have a little bit of a look-see. A lot of these new ones are really powerful, and we don't have them all like memorized at this point, and this one doesn't want to lock its tooltip. It wants to hide its secrets. What is this? 10% production efficiency for how long? 10 years? Bruh. Promote integration process wouldn't be terrible because we're actually using integration actively, which is why we can roll it anyways. Normally this is one we don't see too often, but we've moved away from subjects just a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I guess we just are super into free prod F. So at this point, we've kind of overstacked more religious influence than we can spend. We are doing synod on cooldown, and we are just doing repeatedly the one where... Oh, no! We clicked the wrong one. Okay, well, let's make an adjustment then. Let's go clerical taxation. That's not too bad. I was going to say we keep doing the prosperity one. This time we'll be doing a clerical. But the point is we still have enough to do another synod, and we just did the synod. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and save ourselves from a terrible child. Except for, this guy's ambitious, so he's not a terrible child. But at any rate, we're going to go patriarch education, which is much better, but it requires an expense in the religious influence. But this guy, he will save Byzantium. Except he won't. He'll probably get either dying in a, hunting accident, which of course is an accident, or he'll get accidentally castrated or something. We will get a nice little 100% peace deal off of Bulgaria here, not taking too much to pull anyone too huge into part of the coalition. We see the Ottomans, and that gives us a half a panic attack, but then we remember the face of our father and the fact that this doesn't matter too much, and I guess Serbia might be the biggest person to be pulled in, but a new permanent resident will be Bulgaria. Before we kind of conclude this, we have missed doing this a couple spots. We are going to put in diplomatic endeavors. We'll wait a month. Because for another thing, it seemed like waiting a month was required, which hasn't been the thing previously. And then we will go, and it'll be a little bit cheaper here. Same peace deal, same idea. We're going to get war reps, a ton of gold. This amount of gold is still, like, substantive for us, and quite a bit of land here, including some over here, so we can release a historic person who will get claims on Georgia for the eventual expansion over there. So that will be pretty nice for us here. Alright, this is going to be a little bit of a test. So, we released a subject here, and we released them on the Greek tile, so they were Greek. And then we proceeded to give them the entire coastline for two reasons. One, the coastline is more Greek, and so we're hoping that they maintain Greek and don't flip Bulgarian and eventually start culture converting stuff, but also to give them more pop. And the idea here is that we want to transfer to them. We want to transfer a subject to them, and we want to transfer these two subjects. And so just taking a look here, their pops are going to be relevant for if they can annex them. So we have 80k versus 60k and 28k. So these guys should be able to annex both of these guys, we think. This is the theory. And then it will be a 3-province guy starting to benefit from kind of OPM situation, transitioning into a 3-province subject, and then we eventually annex the 3-province subject. Eventually. This is the idea. Now, in practice, I think the way it's going to work is we are going to probably just annex this guy, get all the coastal land. The coastal land's the most valuable land for us, and then transfer these to interior subject and try and run the experiment again and see how it shakes out. But this is probably going to be priority land for us a little bit. We hope that it gets converted Greek, because I think we're quite a bit of ways from Bulgaria, accepting us and the Bulgarians liking us, but we're going to shove money down their throat for favors for that reason, and we'll be doing that kind of on cooldown to try and get enough favors to get them to favor us so that we can probably accept Bulgarian as well. Small sample size on this new kind of system, not sure which approach is best, but I thought I'd highlight this. This will just make their own subject. This is a really big province, and so we'll make Notre de Bruges a subject, and then we'll eventually feed them probably some more stuff and let them be kind of their own thing. Alright, we have to start getting a little bit real about pushing naval, and so I think we're going to revoke some of the stuff that's giving us land progress. In particular, fortification licenses gives us approval for the nobles, but not at a very good rate. We're getting 5 satisfaction for more than a sort of a 1 to 10 ratio here. And then on top of this, we don't exactly need extra fort limit and fort maintenance because we're just deleting most of our forts. So I think we're going to pull the rug on this one here, which is going to be quite a pretty penny in terms of the stab, but it will stop our naval from backsliding when we declare wars. We've tried to be good about when we're in a war to encourage societal value towards naval. That way we don't backslide. We were at 35 earlier, but we kind of missed it in some spots, but this 11 gives us way more of a buffer, and so I'm not sure we go over after these two, but what we have given here should be good. We also can change one of our laws, but even with that, I don't think we can make the push to 50 yet. We can change our military law regarding the navies. That's not the navies. From here, we can change to navy audits, which will give us an additional 0.1. We can get from our cabinet action currently with this 100 stack guy, we could get 0.18. So we can add 0.23 to whatever it is currently. And that's just going to get us to 34. We got to find some way to gain more naval. I'm hoping the fact that we're adding to Navy and building naval maintenance will help out. Also, when our air comes of age, we can put them in charge of a boat. That'll help out. And then we can also get rid of our army maintenance, which we haven't tucked down since the last war. So when all these start stacking together, we might be able to get the push to 50. Once we're at 50, it's kind of smooth sailing. Smooth sailing. Get it? And that has been our first 50 for the Byzantine Empire. We are now 50 years into the game. Got quite a bit of expansion done. Kind of poised to, at 1400, I do believe we are successful for Fate of the Pheonix in terms, ooh, we could reform the military. Let's do that right now. Let us reform the army or the navy. So we could get reformed the merchant fleet, maritime presence, proximity cost without it would be nice. That'll cost us 200, or maybe not quite yet. Let's reform it. I think that this will actually be fine enough. I don't know, is this just flat maritime presence? No, it's not. It's going to be, we get more of it. But that will be nice for us. But was going to say, I'm pretty sure we get the good ending when Rise of the Turks fails to continue, because they will get the bad ending, because after 1400 they won't have enough locations to kind of continue the Rise of the Turks. The Turks will have failed. But as I was saying, got a decent amount of expansion going. I do think that the no CV on the Ottomans is pretty nice, especially because we probably should not have, in principle, running up the minting is probably, to pay off the loans is probably good, if you aren't about to get an influx of gold. But considering we no CB'd open the Ottomans, which we didn't do in the practice run, probably would have been better not to mint so much, just enough to keep our head above water until we got the influx of gold from the Ottomans to repay kind of the debt and lean on them and the diplomatic income from war reparations to kind of fix our start. Also, do think we probably should have played the subjects a little bit differently. I think in retrospect, probably anything that was Greek, we should just own ourselves and integrate ourselves, and anything that's bordering, that is Greek but bordering something else, or sorry, with the exception that anything is Greek and bordering something else, we maybe release as a subject for the purposes of being able to use their Greek culture already to convert. You can culture flip people, but it seems like they are, if they're predominantly some other culture, they are likely to accept it, and if they accept it, you can't push it. But also, we should have gotten on to earlier, kind of the old school metagame of pushing on to the curry favors to improve diplomatic opinion, because this allows you to convert them better or assimilate them better, and also just accept them better if you want to go that route as well. And so probably should have been a little bit more proactive on that in terms of adjustments we might make. But also, we don't necessarily have a ton of money to fiddle around with like the first 20 years. It's mainly just kind of getting out from under the stuff, and then after that it's like really stacking up in Constantinople more than anything. I think we did kind of highlight the proximity map mode. It has started to develop. We weren't pushing these areas navally, and now we are, as we kind of gain access to our first sea node. It's nowhere near where we need to be in terms of naval proximity, but as we kind of ramp this up, we should start getting into very good shape and be able to project a decent amount of control to all this area. Very curious to see if Thessaly annexes their little subject. We might start annexing Thessaly soon. I think we'll start annexing Morea soon. Just look to kind of go after the Greek stuff. Are they culture converting this? Not really. Yeah, they're not getting it done, unfortunately. Keen to see if they get it done. These guys are culture converting. You can see that there's a bunch of Greek minority in here. It's not the primary or secondary, so it doesn't show up on the minimap, but there's a bunch of Greek, as this guy, Kutayaha, which we started out Greek, flipped Turkish, and then we flipped them back Greek. They are doing a good job. We probably don't want to annex them straight away, but just want to actually feed them more Turkish land, just kind of in a line. That way we get more Greeks in the end, and maybe there's a way to kind of fiddle and push around this type of thing. But the subjects being a little bit different is also kind of keen update. We definitely want to play with bigger subjects because of the flat cost of kind of integrating them, but there's also the possibility of something that's always been possible but not really required, which is subjects within subjects, plans within plans, if you will. But I digress. If you like the video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share it with a friend. And if you wanted to support the channel and you also wanted to pick up the DLC of Flight of the Pheonix, Rise of the Pheonix, no, it's named after this, Fate of the Pheonix, you can buy it off the Paradox web store and use our affiliate code, which is generalist in all caps. It will not give you a discount. It will be slightly inconvenient, as you will be emailed a code that you have to activate on Steam. There's at the top bar, you can click activate product on Steam, or it's one of the drop downs, activate a product, and then you just copy paste the code. But it sends 12% of the sale our way. I do believe Paradox also doesn't have to pay as much fees to Steam, so I think it favors Paradox as well. So if you wanted to do that, you can. No additional cost, but also no savings. Make sure if you're not in USD, that you cross-check the prices between Paradox Store and Steam Store, because Steam Store has some exchange rate funny business sometimes. But anyways, other than all that, y'all have a good one. Bye-bye now.